Hey everybody, how you guys doing? So I want to talk to you guys about Meta or Facebook, and I want to talk about technology, the future, and the concept of third spaces. So we all know that Facebook's push into the metaverse is stupid, to put it lightly, I guess. The fact of the matter is that I don't really see anything except for maybe one thing, which is their Facebook partnering with Ray-Ban to put AR technology in glasses. That's actually will fall into one of my later points. It's not going to do anything because let's be real. Why would I want to go shopping in a VR environment, wander around a fake store, and get shit off shelves on my feet doing this shit, when instead I can just pull up my phone, type a couple things into a search bar, press a few buttons, and it's here to my house in 2 to 5 business days. There is no point, frankly, in a metaverse that doesn't function as a third space. Well, what is a third space, might you ask? Well, the concept of a third space is you have your first space, you have your home where you rest your head and you keep your shit. You have your second space where you work and you provide meaning to the world and to yourself, in theory. And then you have third space, which is the town square, where you socialize with your community, where you interact with your community. This could be a bar, it could be a cafeteria at a school, because that's what I think. That was the closest thing I've had to a third space in a long time. It could be, if you're old, it could be a soda fountain. It could be a multitude of different things. It is, and you're like, and I'm sure some of you are thinking like, hey, wait a minute, that's already exists online. You're right. It started back in the day with Ultima Online and EverQuest. And when and then with WoW, and then with Final Fantasy, and RuneScape, and all the other ones. These were third spaces. And they existed for a long time. Especially as in the real world, the concept of third spaces started to go away. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, the mall used to be the third space until boomers got tired of seeing kids unsupervised and in their view, because most boomers didn't like kids even back then, even their own. And over time, more rules and more laws got put into place that removed areas for kids to interact with each other and their community. And over time, those laws became more and more restrictive. They basically got rid of, walkable streets, and now when you look down any major highway with just a bunch of shitty strip malls on the side of it, you probably have a place like that in your mind. And that didn't just happen with teenagers. It happened for everybody. There isn't a place for most people now in America to have as a third space, unless you drink. But even then, you're kind of at a toss-up if you're going to meet someone that you are willing to talk to in those regards. A third space would be a great thing for Facebook to build. The problem is that they're using it as basically exactly the same as real life, and without much else benefit. It's a shitty VR game. Okay, cool, I can fly and shit in it, whatever. They were showing off having meetings in VR. They were showing off, seeing places in VR. It's frankly sad, to be honest, and that brings me to my next point. It's not convenient, like I said at the top of this. Remember how I was talking earlier about, their deal with Ray-Ban? Or was that the previous recording? Honestly, I'm not recording this shit again. If so, whatever. The point is that Facebook is doing a deal with Ray-Ban to try and fit augmented reality technology in glasses, which I do genuinely think is actually a good idea. Something like that could pay dividends in terms of convenience and furthering things down the line. I don't know about you, but personally, if I wake up in the morning, what's the first thing I do? I roll over, I grab my phone, I look at my notifications, and I look at a couple other apps to see if anything happened while I was asleep. You know what I'd rather do? I would rather reach over, grab a pair of fake glasses, put them on, lay back down in my bed, and look up at the ceiling and just be able to see my timeline, be able to see my notifications, see what my to-do list is for the day. That would be better. You know, and I think, and honest to God, you know, the future is, and this is kind of the big point I want to make with this video. VR, unless we live in a cyberpunk type of hellscape, like think like the real world in the anime Overlord, you know, just you live in a hell world. It's like think of like maybe Judge Dredd, you know. The best you might have is an elementary education. Your life is going to be shit. You know? That type of escapism with VR, that would be the case. But realistically though, that's not we are a far way from that. Augmented reality is going to be the future. Period. Augmented reality is going to be where the biggest changes happen. And honestly, it's the most interesting because the reality of it is that it is more sensible to have to interact with the world we live in rather than ignore it and build a world that doesn't hurt us in the same ways. Augmented reality is the future. And I think the concept of Google Glass back then, if they had engineered it to look a little less fucking stupid, the technology itself was interesting and meaningful. And honestly, I think having to replace certain things with it, I think the concept of augmented reality would do a lot of good. Microsoft's HoloLens is a good example of this. They're doing some pretty interesting things with it. I also think that augmented reality has the added benefit of us being able to interact with, you know, technology in our daily lives. For a la Cyberpunk 2077. These glasses, for example, if you have, say, a smart fridge or something that has, I don't know, like a tea maker attachment or whatever in it, you literally could just see a little keypad be projected on the front of the fridge, and then you can use hand gestures or whatever to make some shit happen, and it sends a signal to the fridge and it makes your fucking coffee or whatever. There are really interesting ways that augmented reality can enhance our lives outside of gaming. And I think the overwhelming focus on VR is going to be detrimental to advancement. VR is a novelty, an expensive novelty. I don't think we're going to see anything pertinent with it for a while. Maybe Half-Life 3. I think Half-Life 3 would be a good one, though. Anywho, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. I appreciate you watching. Please consider subbing. And a big fucking thank you to my patrons. These people are freaking great, and they've been super supportive, and I am thankful. Including Reed Savage, Mike Nicely, PT Sean, Ben Duren, or American Autopsy, Vivian Van Dam, Anthony J. Lopez, and the love of my life, Meadow Fafuzi. If you want to consider supporting the show, get a free Twitch sub, discounts, and among other things, please consider joining my Patreon down below. Regardless, Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.